Ladies and gentlemen, our chief guest for today is a storyteller. No, literally. He tells stories for a living. With a background in theatre and technology, he spent a better part of his life on stage, engaging a varied audience, from hosting live concerts for 3,000 plus rock fans to conducting workshops for the business leaders in the areas of storytelling and design thinking. You must watch his TEDx talk about how everyone can find their unique sense of expression. He's a storytelling and design thinking evangelist, and this has led him to travel the world, founding the Art of Business Storytelling program in India, the US, Singapore, Portugal, and Poland. He currently works with the customer experience vertical at CISCO, where he helps communicate the value of CISCO products and solutions to Fortune 500 companies. More than that, he is a Bethany alumnus, batch of 2013. He says there have been three things that left an indelible mark on him: getting elected as the head boy, acting in the musical Aladdin in 2011, where he made us run, where he made us laugh at his jokes, and leading the school march past on one of the sports days. Put your hands together for our chief guest, Mr. Rohul Kolle.
Thank you, Ashima ma'am. We are eagerly waiting to hear from you, Rahul. The stage is all yours.
I must say, I should get Ashima ma'am to do every single introduction of mine. Clearly my parents weren't very creative. They're not very creative people, because they named me Rahul. It was a popular name in the 90s, and they saw a name, thought it was cool, and they named me it. Any other Rahuls here? Any other Rahuls here? There must be a few. There were 3 in my class. Every single class growing up. But luckily I have a more uncommon surname. My surname is Kolle. For those of you that speak Kannada, that means murder. So none of my friends ever mess with me. That's enough about my name and my surname. I must say that I'm so grateful to be invited back to Bethany, because essentially speaking, 2013, after I left these walls, is when I stopped growing physically. As you can tell, I'm only 5 feet 5 inches tall, which is why I've never liked podiums, because they clearly don't make me look any taller. There's a reason why I'm 5 feet 5 inches tall. I'm acrophobic, which means I'm scared of heights. So I grew to 5 feet 5 inches, and I said, nahi, iske upar nahi jayega main. It's a scary world up there. Those were in fact 2 of my aspirations when I was in Bethany, right? 2 aspirations of mine, things that I really always wanted to achieve, were get Robert sir's voice and Akash sir's physique, and I failed at both. Now I've been invited here to motivate you all, whatever that word means. Motivation is fleeting. Motivation doesn't last too long. It evaporates very quickly, so I won't motivate you all. I won't give you any advice, because sitting there 11 years ago, I didn't like listening to advice, because I thought, well, advice is very contextual, right? It may apply to you, it may not apply to me. So what I'm going to do instead is give you 3 timeless pieces of wisdom that I learned along the way, and that you're free to apply or bin it totally. It's absolutely up to you. And 2 of these pieces of wisdom will apply to all of you, and the 3rd one especially to the student leaders present here today. I remember what it was like to take my oath as head boy of school back in 2012 it was, and I just remember feeling this sense of, there was a feather in my cap. I'm the head boy, it feels cool, right? You walk into a room and the school knows you, you feel popular, but that's not what it's about. So the 3rd piece of advice, very important to all those taking their oath today as student leaders. The first one really is something that I learned right here in Bethany. thanks to all of the teachers that taught me, which was, it's simple, right? I'm going to quote it. Do something that feels like play to you, but it looks like work to others. It's all about playing. Because when you're playing, you can play 24/7/365. You cannot be stopped. You can play non-stop. There is something that each one of you likes to play. Whether that's music, it could be dance, it could be speaking on stage, it could be writing code, it could be math, it could be anything. That is your sense of unique expression. And that is the only tool with which you have a potential at making a dent in this universe, as Steve Jobs would call it. Make a dent in the universe, it's possible. Many years from now, plenty of you here will either be working jobs or working as a professional somewhere. But where's the fun in that if you're not going to play? Find a competitive advantage. Right here in school. School is all about failing, learning, and finding that thing that is your unique sense of expression and doing that for the next 40, 50, 60, 70 years of your life. All the people that you see around you that you think are very cool are doing exactly that. You think Akash sir comes to work every day? No. He's playing. You think Robert sir comes to work every day? No, he loves his job. That's play. So find what's play to you. Because when you're doing that, with which your time feels like it's flying by, everybody will look at you and go and think, man, this person's a freak. This person's a freak. How can this person do this non-stop? But to you, it's just play. That's the first piece of suggestion or advice that I would give you. Not advice, suggestion really. Use it or throw it. The second one is to build long-term relations with long-term people. I learned this very late in my life, that it's not just money that compounds over time. You know, compound interest versus simple interest. Many of you are learning that in school right now. What's the difference? What's the difference? Compound interest really takes off over time, right? Really takes off over time. Simple interest doesn't. Relationships work in a very similar fashion. Many of the people that I work with, even today, are people that I've known for over a decade. Whether it's the keynote talks that I end up giving at different locations, my event manager is somebody I've worked with for 12 years. Whether it was my hiring manager for this current position, I ended up knowing this, I've had the pleasure of knowing this person for over a decade. Long-term relationships will come handy for a very, very long time in your life. It's the second piece of advice. And the third one is really applicable to all student leaders today, is what do you want to be remembered for? Each one of us wants to be remembered for something. So I'm going to quote that McDowell's ad, which is be remembered for good. Life is really worth living when you align with a purpose that is larger than yourself. And for student leaders, you have the opportunity, the pleasure of doing exactly that this year. You're the brand ambassador of an institution that has lived on for so many years and will live on for so many more. And you have the chance to contribute to that brand, which is the brand of Bethany. Can you in any way be remembered for good? Not just by your teachers and not just by your principal and HOD, but also by the friend sitting next to you. Are you going to be that person who, right after becoming a prefect, all of your friends go, oh man, this person's changed? Don't be that person. Don't take yourself too seriously. Don't take that title too seriously, but also do take it seriously in the way you discharge your duties. Don't let it get to your head, which has happened over the years. And I know teachers can also come up and speak to this truth, that a lot of people will take this too seriously. That will be their crowning achievement in school. It absolutely is. But along with that, it's also about doing good. So these three pieces of timeless wisdom is what I want to leave you with, which is just think about playing. Find something that feels like play to you but looks like work to others. The second one is play long-term games with long-term people. And the third one really is be remembered for good and align with something with a purpose that is larger than yourself. And finally, I just want to say that a lot of people in high school, middle school have this small inkling feeling that maybe I'm a little weird, that I'm a weirdo, that I have my quirks for which maybe people will not like me. But I just want you to lean into that weirdness of yours, because all the coolest people I know today, I have friends who are chefs, I have friends who play at big concerts. All of these people just paid attention to that slightly offset drum that was going on in their background, in the back of their head, and they just followed that music. They just lent into their weirdness a little bit more and continued to play. And I just want to ask you to do just that. And finally, I know I did this 11 years back and some teachers reprimanded me for this. How many Sathar House folks in the audience? Make some noise. Is Sathar winning this year? No? Yes? Who's winning this year? Sorry? Did you say Sathar? So I want that to change. I want Sathar House to go back to winning ways again. Can you all promise me that? Yeah? Okay. Kidding aside, that's what I want to leave you with. Thank you so much again for having me here. I want to pass it on to the next speaker on stage.